Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to another episode of Dil Se Live. And I'm so excited for today's live because we've really been waiting for a very long time for our guest, for our guest of today to come live with us. So this is going to be Dil Se Live with Amrita Samant. And as you know that Amrita Samant is pioneer of newborn and baby photography, and on Dil Se Live we do have industry experts and one of my favorite photographers come live and share their journey with us. In the meanwhile, you all can also ask your questions. So I'm really very excited for today's live, and I'll be waiting for Amrita to join in the chat for in some time. Till then, if you guys have any questions, you can drop them below. Hi Nagclicks, hi Anjali, hi Neeraj, hi Sampada. Um, right. Hi Rupa, thanks for joining. Okay, so I think Amrita has just joined, so we will just take her on live. Hi Amrita.
Hi, Amrita. I'm so sorry. I think this has taken a while to happen, but I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope you're doing better now. I hope everything
Yes,
is fine.
yes, back to work, Amrita. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining, Amrita. So, Dil Se Live is one of the series wherein, we have one of my favorite photographers as well as industry experts who we meet every month. And I'm truly glad that you're here with us today. Yeah, I would like to know from you how has been your journey, how you got started into the field of newborn and baby photography. Please share with us.
Sure, definitely. All right. So I think this whole thing came to me as a surprise as well because I was interested in actually in getting into acting, and that was a huge no in my house. Film acting was not exactly something they were excited about. So I remember looking at other options, and dance was my second passion, which was again, I think, a very weak foundation back in the day across the country, in terms of supporting professional dancers. So I went down the route my sister took. I decided to study computer science, and then I very quickly realized, thank God, I realized that software engineering is not for me. And then I moved out of there and I switched to the corporate world. I got into HR, did a double master's in human resources. But the whole time, Amu, I was always looking for something really creative to do. So I would um, do a lot of side hustles, hoping that one of the side hustles will become a creative career
Wow.
and didn't happen for a long time. So it took about 7 years until I stumbled upon photography, thanks to a good friend. And then that's when the journey with photography began. And then I decided that, if I get into photography, it has to be something to do with children. And here I am.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I think that's very inspiring because you hold double in masters, as you rightly mentioned. And so, what has been your inspiration? All these years, like newborn photography, we meet tiny little babies. We have to take care of their safety. We have to take care of their hygiene at the same time, and also be creative each time we are. It's like starting on a blank canvas.
Mhm.
So what keeps you going? How do you kind of inspire to create really amazing setups? What is your inspiration?
Okay, so I think uh, and it took a while for me to realize that there's so much we do as photographers. We're running the business side of things. We're also looking at the creative side of things. We're constantly honing our skills as photographers, and there's the whole ocean of editing we have to step into as well. So I think what really helped me fine tune over the years is that I started to focus on things that I was good at and I started outsourcing things that I was not good at. So that included, the monster called editing, because we were shooting quite a bit. We were doing, a shoot or two shoots a day, and so it got too much for me, and because I would barely sleep. So I started focusing on just the things I want to do. So even when it comes to setups, I actually I enjoy doing it, but when my clients want something a little elaborate, a little excessive, then I make sure I bring in experts for it as well. So I started to outsource small parts of what I do and then focus on photography so hardcore that I can't go wrong with it. And I don't forgive myself if I do go wrong because I have such a big support team now. Um, so yeah, in terms of inspiration, I think it's honestly, I'm going to tell you what everyone tells you, which is true. The fact that inspiration lies everywhere. It's about using it to your advantage, remembering, recollecting, and then applying what you saw somewhere in ways that nobody's seen before. So be it like the most recent birthday party I went for, I saw real palm trees, like baby palm trees planted all over the banquet hall, and I'm like, this is pretty. And then so the next time I shot, I made sure I brought in palm leaves, not the whole tree in my studio, but palm leaves, and used them
Wow.
all across for a whole get up or for a whole setup for a mom and baby shot, and use shadows of it and everything. So it's sort of just it's all around us, but how you use it differently in your own style and approach is what makes you different as an artist. So yes, inspiration is really everywhere.
Yeah, very true. And I really love how, you bring creative elements and still, your images are, they speak. They are like so inspiring and calm and very timeless.
Yours
So
too.
So I think what you have to say about, like I've myself seen a shift from, using a lot of props on the baby photo shoots to now, we as photographers kind of educating our clients as well to not really go overboard with props, keeping everything very minimal and, so that we can, give a timeless portraiture. We can move towards, timeless pictures that they can cherish even 10 years, even 20 years down the line. So what would you like to share about that? How important are the props or any additional elements that we add onto our shoots? What do you would say
Um,
about
I
that?
mean, if you actually look back in time and study what the industry has been like for the last 30 years, um, everything works in terms of decades. There's a decade worth of a trend that goes on, and then the decade changes, and the trend also changes. So what I've seen is pictures that were taken when you and I were kid, like 90s kids, right?
Right.
We never had any props around us. It was just us in a studio and a fake backdrop or a green screen of sorts. And then now we've moved into the zone where everyone wants to use props and elements to depict a certain milestone. So I think, I mean, I'm not against props. I'm not a big fan either, but I feel like it is that decade where props have been given so much importance. And since we work for our clients, I really would want to give my clients what they want and not try to change them otherwise. But I would lay out the options and expose them to what would look nicer 25 years from now. And if they want to go for it, great. If they don't, that's also fine. But if I were to personally pick out, and work with a family just as a passion project, I would do that without props completely. And
True.
I've seen that there's a huge increase, and you would agree with me too. There's been this increase in the number of clients who are actually asking us to stay away from props or go minimalistic with props so that they don't feel like they haven't given their child the common experience that everyone else has got. So I think we're moving out of that trend slowly,
True.
and I think the next decade would mean going completely minimalistic, all about moments, all about just the relationship and bond between family members. That's where we're headed next.
Exactly. Exactly like you rightly said, it's all about those pure, candid captures, right?
Yes.
So where do you drive your, like how do you plan your shoots? How do you pick up the location or, how does it all, start? How do you actually pick the location and how do you create the setup?
Okay. So every single day, like I was saying, right, there's inspiration everywhere. So when I'm driving by and I see spots or if I discover a new location, I'm always making notes about all of these little things, be it an outfit, be it a setup, be it a location, whatever it is. I'm parking it all aside. And as I work with each of my clients and I'm planning their shoot out in these pre-consultation calls we have, I'm walking them through all the options that we could try that would be different from what they've already seen. Because I do understand, and it's important to sort of be sensitive to the fact that your clients have only seen what you have shown them online or what the internet has shown them. They don't know your capabilities and potential beyond that, and it's important for you to tell them what you can offer them that would be more, that would be new, and that would be fresh, and would also give them a whole new feel to the whole shoot. So that pre-consultation call is really important for me because that's where I sort of, seed a lot of ideas, which are also like personal projects of mine that I'm like, okay, let's try this, let's try that, and see how open they are to it. But I feel like today it's amazing how many clients come to us telling us exactly what they want. They come and they book a shoot with me and they say, I've got my maternity dresses, this and this, but I want this backdrop and this and this. I'm like, okay, all right, come on
Yeah.
in. And then I give them what they want, and then I take a good 10 or 20% leeway to sort of experiment and do something of my own, which is something that's new and that's something I would have added to the whole shoot as value versus what they came with and the plan they want. So, yes, I mean, I plan by making lists of all of these things I've seen, make a mental note of them, make a physical note of them, bounce it off with my clients, and then we start planning from there on. Once we speak to each other, we've got a final mood board in place, so everyone in the shoot is well aware of what we're
Well,
doing and what the whole output is going to look like. And then on D-Day, it's pretty simple when it's non-babies. But with babies, of course, there's always a plan B and a C and a D and an E.
sure.
So depending
Right.
on what works and what doesn't, we go with that flow.
Right. Great. And I would also, like to ask you, so there are a lot of newbie photographers who have joined in the chat as well. What would you like to share, as your tip for the newcomers in this field? What would be your, like if you would have started back in time, or maybe, kind of, you know, taking in consideration what is in currently, what would be your advice for them?
Um, so, I'm also I actually run my own photography academy online where we teach newborn photography and all of that, right? So, what I've seen consistently as a pattern is that everyone who's picking up photography today in this age, and you and I have been around for a while, so we've known how the industry has grown out, right? But I feel like there's a lot of I don't know how to put this mildly, but one workshop in buying all the props, buying the most expensive gear, and they feel ready to go. And I'm all for, growth and success for everyone else. But I feel like there is no cheat code in this industry. There is no cheat code with these skills. You can't just assume that if you got the best of everything, you attended 1, 2 workshops, you are an Annie Geddes of today. You have to put in the hard work. You've got to put in that effort and time and planning and, all that you require to actually be as good as an Anna Brand or an Annie Geddes today is something that's amiss in Gen Z. And I mean, I love them. They're great. They're very ambitious, very aspirational. It's amazing. But I also feel like the elements that everyone's missing is they think they can skip all the hard work and just get right to the top. And I feel like that will just end up in a huge surprise at some day because you want to take it baby steps. So I think that's so going slow, learning step by step, and then sort of being a little more confident about what you put out there is important. At the same time, I would say that you know I think if I look back at when a whole bunch of us started in 2014, 2015, we didn't have as many learning resources. And today, I think everyone's spoiled
Right.
with so many learning resources online, offline, in person, one on one mentoring in India, outside India. So I would say use those resources to the fullest. Gosh, there's so much free information available out there today. We would have actually accelerated our
Yeah.
own growth if
We
we
didn't
had
have
that
that.
back in the day. We didn't
Right.
have it. So I think that's my main point to everyone is to really use what's out there and practice a lot and persevere, but also learn baby steps.
Right, I completely agree with you, and I think you said that really, you put a like a step by step right there. So, Amrita, I think I would also like to ask you about the equipment that you use. Please share what equipment do you use? Like which is your favorite equipment when it comes to baby photography?
Okay, so I'm currently using the Sony set, and I really love really love their lenses. It's honestly,
Even I'm a
it's the
Sony user.
speed and performance. There you go. So I don't have too much justification to make there. And when I talk about it, there's a lot of, oh, you're an artisan, so you must be promoting it. I'm like, no, I don't need to. It is, I mean, I close my eyes and pick up that camera any day because of the speed. It saves us so much time and effort. So I think switching to Sony has been my biggest or best decision ever. And in terms of lighting, it's been nothing other than pro photo. And I don't think I'll be able to switch to anything else because you get spoiled when you work with awfully good equipment. The reliability, the performance, the fact that I can use it wirelessly in so many places has really given me flexibility to perform rather than focus on the technical aspects of, oh my God, is my light working correctly? Is it set up right? It's such
Right.
a
It's
simple
just
interface that now I can focus on making that baby smile, getting that moment, being in the space with my clients and not focusing on the gear part of it. So that's always been my mantra. So yeah, Sony and Pro Photo.
true. So which lens is your favorite? Go-to lens? Like, we all have our
Mm.
favorites. So which one
I,
is
I
yours?
actually love the 24 G Master, the Sony lens, because I can even use the APS-C crop sensor and use it as 36 when I want to. But um, I've been really discovering new ways to use that lens every time I use it. So yeah, there's an endless attachment to it now.
Amazing. So I'll just scroll through a few of the questions.
Yeah, I'm seeing some really
Uh,
interesting
yeah,
ones.
I'll just go back in the chat. Guys, if you have any questions, we'll just take up a few now. As a woman, how do you build confidence and make your clients trust you?
Uh, uh, I was just sharing this a couple of days back on World Photography Day. We had this conference, or like, sorry, conference. I'm so old. An Instagram live session with about four of us. There was Vishal Punjabi and Suresh Shivram and so on. And I was talking about this exact same thing when we were discussing challenges. While the others were sharing challenges about running a team and maintaining a business over time, right? Starting it is a lot of excitement, but 3 years down the line, how do you sustain it? I think that's what a challenge we all face. But as my biggest challenge when I started out was actually being taken seriously. And it's such a third world problem, right? Third world country problem. But the patriarchal structure is so strong in India. I felt that the most in 2014. I remember assisting a friend of mine who's a wedding photographer, and we went to meet his client. And I'm sitting there and I'm asking the questions to the male client, who's, this 45 plus aged middleman. Um, and he just wouldn't make eye contact with me. He would just keep looking at the man and answering, even though I was asking the questions. And I would repeatedly ask more questions, and he would just avoid gazes with me and just focus on the male in the room and answer the man. And that was so, it was enlightening and amusing today. Back then, it was enraging and infuriating because I'm just like, why can't he see me? Why can't he respond to me? So I think that's one, it had been a key driver back in the day. Now I don't really care. But I realized that if you actually do extremely good work, nobody can ignore it,
True.
right? So I started focusing a lot of my energy there. I'm just like, I'm just going to focus on being as good as I can, possibly, and then let's see who ignores it. And then I started earning my respect at the table, right? And then I think also what really matters is being completely present in the moment with whoever you're talking to, and also um, sharing how much you know. Otherwise it's like I've had a lot of people start conversations with me saying, we can't have a business transaction here without a negotiation, and they'd ask for a discount. So all of those situations you get pushed into, they're not bad situations, they're actually great situations because they make you stronger as a business person. They make you stronger as a human being because you start to ask for what you believe in. You start to stand up for yourself. And I feel like if you want to build confidence, like I think there's something called lady entrepreneur who asked, right? If you want to really build confidence as a woman and make your clients trust you, that comes from showcasing really, really good work consistently. And then there won't be any questions. I think, today we're at a space where everybody comes to us and they don't tell us what to do. They say, we trust you. Why don't you tell us what you want? And that is a different feeling altogether. You want to go over and sorry above and beyond their expectations at that point because they trust you and they're willing to let you build on your creative expertise there. So yes, I hope that helps out.
Yeah, I think standing up for ourselves and believing in ourselves, whatever we want to
Yeah.
project, I think that is really important, and I
I'm,
agree
I'm
with
just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna add one more thing there, which is so
you.
important. And you and I sort of understand this because we're part of PFBI, where we have all these amazing women surrounding us, and we're constantly helping each other, supporting each other, pushing each other forward. I think it's really important to surround yourself with the right tribe of women or right tribe of people, right? Be it your family, your friends, who constantly have your back and give you that confidence. So growing
Mm.
up in a household where we're a majority of women, I was always told you can do whatever you want to, without any question marks. So that automatically gave me confidence growing up as
Yes.
well. And I never doubted myself. So it's important to surround yourself with the right people, the ones who are pulling you down, who are jealous, who are not for you, keep them at bay and just focus on your own growth there. Yeah.
Right. I think you pointed out really well. So, if any of us are female photographers, can also look forward to join PFPI, and we are a group of like-minded people supporting each other as a community. Um, Somebody's asking the tips for marketing. A few tips
Uh,
if you would have to
this is a
share
question
about.
I try and run away from now. um, okay, so I'm going to state the obvious more than actually share tips on marketing is the fact that there are so many resources online to teach you how to market yourself on social media. We're so blessed to have social media to market and be and share what we do online. I mean, if you take away Instagram today, a lot of us will be displaced, right? Because we've been heavily relying on it to share our work with potential customers. So I really think it's important for every one of us in this space to understand how social media works, getting into the depths of it, following accounts that you think are doing extremely well and see why is it doing well. There are so many blogs out there. It's unbelievable how many blogs are out there. And there are so many social media coaches online. One is a good friend called Hustler Rani. If you look up Hustler Rani online, she teaches a lot about getting better at Instagram, performing better on it, how to make reels. Every single thing is covered by her and so many coaches. So I feel like just these resources alone should take your game from like here to here. You have to just invest time and effort to listen, and you're going to be able to change your game there and be consistent on social media. That's another thing. So that's with social media marketing, but I also think it's important to exist on the internet outside of social media. You never know what app will get banned tomorrow, so make sure you have some digital presence, in terms of writing blogs on your website, definitely having a website. So if somebody were to search you, SEO sort of is on your site and helps pop your name up in the region they're searching. So those are, I think, the top two tips I would share. Yeah.
Great. I think we've got so many questions. I'll just quickly run through them. If you have 2 minutes, two, three
Yeah,
minutes
I
more.
do. I do.
Okay, great. Um, who is your biggest support? Natflix ask, who is your biggest support?
It definitely is my family, actually. Surprisingly, I was spending some time with my mom in the last 2 weeks here in Bangalore, and I was asking. I mean, I completely forgot what my transition was like and how the family reacted to it. Switching over from my corporate job um, to my entrepreneurial venture, which was photography. I asked her, I'm like, Mama, did you support me when I switched over? And she was like, not entirely, because I was, this was a little too flaky in terms of a lifestyle versus a reliable corporate job. And I'm like, I completely forgot that. But I remember them sort of telling me that if this makes your heart happy, do it. But build a safety net. If you ever have to go back, you can go back. So I remember doing that as well. I remember just sort of, keeping my network of HR professionals alive and active. And I told them, I'm going to give this a year. If it doesn't work out, I'll come right back. In retrospect, that's a bad idea because when you commit to something like this, you should commit wholeheartedly, right?
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
Not with a backup plan. So
True.
yeah, I mean, I think my family has been my biggest supporters. My sisters were the ones who really pushed me to get to where I am today. They did not, step back. They did not give me any seed of doubt. They literally pushed me out of the corporate job because they've been there, they've done it, and they knew what I was capable of. So I think having people close to you getting their support and getting their feedback is so important because they know you best. Yeah.
Right. Having a trusted network is also very important as well. Of course, the
Yeah.
family support. And it
Yeah.
is really inspiring how, your shift from HR profession to this and now where you are is truly, truly inspiring. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
inspiring all of us. Keep inspiring.
Thank you so much, Amu.
Okay, I'll take the next question by flashback stories. What is your take on? Okay, child photography is a women-dominated sector. What is your child on that? What is your take on that?
Acha, very quickly. That's Amar. Hi, Amar. Um, I don't think it matters if you're, it doesn't matter what your gender is. Yes, it's women dominated for sure, but I mean, I think the all the other genres of wedding of photography are, I think the scales are tipping over there. A lot more women are getting into fashion, into weddings, into architectural photography, and so on. But so the scales are definitely tipping. I feel like we're sort of not staying a minority for too long. But at the same time, I understand where that question comes from because I've seen a lot more women maternity and child photographers than male. But I do know a lot of male child photographers and they're doing phenomenally well. There's uh, Priya Vision Sabri, there's Ankit Chawla, there's who else am I missing? Nagamaya in Bangalore. There's quite a few out there, honestly. So I don't think that should limit you at all in terms of the gender. Or you know, a child doesn't really care if you're male or female. You just want to know if you can clown around enough to make them have fun. So I don't think that should be a reservation at all for anyone.
Right, completely agree with you there.
Yeah.
And I think now the trend is also shifting. We are having a lot of male photographers coming into this field.
That's right,
So,
right? Yeah.
okay, next question is by Ritika. She asked, did you take any formal education in photography before starting out?
No, Ritika. I haven't done it formally, not academically, but in terms of workshops, I'm constantly learning. I've done several number of workshops. I've lost count, and I still continue to enroll in workshops. Call me crazy, but I think it's always nice to learn new ways of how people look at photography. Like I would sign up randomly for a fashion photography workshop. I would randomly sign up for a food photography workshop. But there are small little things that I learn in each of these workshops that actually help me in my profession and my genre, which are very interesting. So if you can call that formal education, then yes, I've done that, but not academically, unfortunately.
Right, and actually, as you said, even if you would enroll for a food photography, I think every workshop gives us something to take away, and every workshop actually makes us better, even if it is that 1% shift. So I think it's
You're
very
right.
right. It's
Yeah.
very important to keep on upgrading ourselves as we are going on in our journey of be it
Yes.
any profession.
Yeah.
The next question is by Choti Diary. She asked, what is important, bringing fresh new ideas or focusing on your strong point and creating some kind of good photos? What
Okay.
is
So
more?
definitely the latter, which is focusing on creating amazing imagery, strong imagery. And once you get your foundation strong, then it becomes a lot easier to experiment. Then you're not thrown aback, and you're not taken aback or thrown off by surprises that you will face while you're experimenting. So it's always best to get your basics right. Even recently, I was, sort of going through a lighting workshop, and my mentor just pushed me back, and he's like, "Wait, hold on, get this right. So go back to the basics." And I'm like, "I've done the basics 100 times," and he's like, "No, go back and do it again," because that becomes so imperative when you actually want to experiment. And what happens is, I think today we're so influenced by what we see online, and we see these amazing pictures made by amazing photographers across the world, and we're like, I want to create something like that, and I want to create something like this. But if we don't have our basics in place, that whole thing can fall apart. You might get that one picture right, but the second time you try something different, it'll just fall apart. You'll be wasting your time and the client's time, and so on and so forth. So strong images, and then experiment over time.
True. Right. Now, clicks ask, what is your daily motivation? And in fact, I also wanted to ask you about, how do you plan your day? What is your daily motivation to keep you going?
I mean, I'm going to ask you that question as well, okay? But honestly, such a tough question to answer because
Right.
I think, you and I, we enjoy this so much that we don't actually need motivation to get up from our beds and get to work and create something. The excitement to create a new image every day is so exciting that I don't need any motivation to do it. That it just pushes me out of bed every day. I'm like waiting to get to the studio. I'm waiting for the baby to arrive. I'm hoping I'm saying a little prayer like, please let that baby sleep well. Please let that baby sleep, nap well, and come to the studio fresh so I can try something different. So yeah, I don't what motivates me is the fact that I really love what I do, and I hope I don't lose that love for it because it's what's really made my life so much nicer in the last 7, 8 years as compared to what it was. So, but if you have to look for motivation, I think the days that I'm feeling like a little blah, I would listen to a really good podcast, or I would watch a really interesting YouTube video by one of my favorite photographers, and that will keep me going because that'll start spinning ideas in my head, and then the wheels start churning, and then you're like, okay, let's go try this, let's go try that. So that charges me up again.
Amazing. Okay, so quickly, I'll take another question by Chobi Place. She asks, how could we network for having a prospect or a client?
Um, I think pre-COVID it would have been easier. Today is a lot harder because you can't really get out. But I mean, even with the current situation, I think it's important to network through networking apps. I mean, there are lots of clubs on that you could join. I think I've been seeing a lot of ads around. One, there's Leap Club. It's a women-only club that I'm a part of right now. There's also, I think, Coffee.ai, which is another one. So I think that all these communities that are right now all online are what you should be active upon and consistently a part of because you will meet a network, you will be able to share what you do, and people will always remember a newborn photographer because it's such a rare thing to do, right? It's not very common. So if they ever have a requirement, they're going to remember you, but you have to be present because I do believe very strongly in out of sight, out of mind. But if you're there, present with people, mingling with new people all the time in these communities, and most of these communities are free online. Even Facebook groups, for instance, just being there, chatting, commenting, people will always remember you. So I think that showing up is a big part of the networking aspect. And even if you can't network offline, don't forget the online communities. There are plenty.
Right. True. I think being present at the right time is important. I think, if we
Yeah,
miss that, I think we'll miss on a lot of things.
yes.
A lot of people are asking about your schedule. How do you plan your day? Uh,
Um,
Maintaining daily mobile alarm for wake up call. Nadia
yeah,
is
I don't
asking,
know.
how do you maintain daily mobile alarm for wake up call? A lot of people want to know about your schedule. How do you plan? How do you kind of structure your day?
Yeah, I wish I could like flaunt about this 5 a.m. schedule of mine and talk about how I wake up early and exercise first thing. I don't do any of that. Right? I'm not a morning exercise person at all. But I wake up as early as 7. Earlier than that is a little too much, unless it's a shoot. Then I'll wake up. Otherwise, I won't. So I wake up at 7 and then I get my day started. I'm immediately headed to the studio because I know I'm a lot more productive over there. And I make sure I pack my snacks and lunch for the day because I actually have this whole system going on right now. So I pack everything, get to the studio, and there I start my emails first, get through my emails for about 30, 40 minutes, and then I, push it out. I do not look at my emails until the end of the day. And then there are shoots that are lined up anyway. So I start preparing for shoots, making sure all the setups are kept ready. So when the client comes in, there's no hunting, there's no scavenging for a certain thing I plan to use. It's all set out and perfectly laid out there. And then there's the shoot that happens. In between shoots, I typically have calls that I try and finish. So then when the next shoot happens, it's again the same flow, keeping things ready, making sure everything goes as per plan in the shoot. Sometimes there are delays, so I'm always having that buffer time for that. Post shoot wrap up, I'm focusing on all the content creation that I do, which is podcasts and YouTube videos and reels, whatever parts are remaining are done. towards the end of the day. And then I pack up for the day by checking my emails, and that's pretty much it. Yes, there's every day is different actually. It's so hard to put down a plan, especially with all the travel. I'm not sure how much you travel, but because of all the travel, you've got to really have one really built-in schedule to make sure you don't miss out on things in one city and then figure it out later in the next city. So yeah, that's yeah, not
Looks
an
like a
impressive
long.
schedule. It's just a crazy one. That's all.
Right. Looks like a long day plan, but yeah, really inspiring though. I
Thank you.
have so many questions. Oh my God. I feel
Okay,
like
let's
I know that
pick.
we
I'll help
will
you pick
pick.
if you don't mind.
Okay. Yes, sure.
Um, has your life towards baby photography or it's your ambition to become a baby photographer? Oh, one sec, hold on. That's from Arun Bitsos. Arun, I'm coming back to you. Um, Amar is talking about my morning energy drink. Yeah, I don't do without my green juice in the mornings. Okay, so Arun is asking about um, did I plan to take up baby photography? Was it my ambition? Okay, so Arun, I don't know if you missed the first part of the live session, but baby photography just happened to me because I liked photography, but I did not like wedding photography. I just don't have that patience with adults as much. Amma, what about you? Why did you pick up baby photography specifically?
So I always wanted to do something for women and children, and I ended up in a MBA college. But I always wanted to do something of my own, and photography was my passion. So a lot of things happened in my personal life as well. To reach to the conclusion that I want to pick newborn and baby photography. But primarily, it was because I wanted to do something for women and children, and I really loved babies, and my love to kind of help clients create those precious moments forever. So that was my whole, kind of why I picked up.
Nice, nice. Okay, so I think for me, that sparks ideas. I wanted to do something on my own. And when I was exploring a whole bunch of side hustles, I thought about a luxury babysitting service in India. And then I'm like, no, too much risk. Then I decided a baby spa, a luxury, like, those, have you seen those baby spas with babies floating in them? I was thinking about that
Yeah.
idea. And then I'm like, okay, again, too much risk. So I kept playing with the idea of babies separately. Then photography happened to me separately. And then one day it just sort of struck me, what if I do babies and photography, like do baby photography, because it was such a interesting concept in the West, but nobody was really focusing on it in India so much. So that's how I think I came about with the idea of becoming a baby photographer. Best decision ever, right, Amo?
Yeah, even I think that's like the best decision because it's like a lot of positivity as soon as the baby enters in the studio. Like for me, it's like a baby is in a studio and the camera is in my hand. I go into my meditative zone. So it's
Right?
like the
It's like
best.
going to a, yeah, it's like going to a religious place, be it, a church, a temple,
Exactly.
whatever it is for you, that calm around there, that's what it feels like when you exit it. So it's a pretty amazing vibe. Yes.
True, true. It's like a whole new, like aura with each child who comes in. They bring their own positivity.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. Aura.
Uh,
Any
do
other
you
questions
believe
you
in
want to
hard
take?
work or luck? So Narclix is asking, do you believe in hard work or luck?
Um, I do believe only in hard work. I don't believe in sitting and waiting for luck to strike me. I mean, what
True.
if it bad? What and it can be good or bad luck. You don't know, right? So I just don't want to wait around for that. But I think this is something I've had since I was a kid, where if I want something, I'll work towards it and get it. Not getting it is not an option for me, which is not a good thing because it makes you very stubborn. But if I have my eyes set on something, even as a child, I would work really hard to get it, whatever it was. So hard work any day.
Right. Agreed. How was your first shoot and how did you handle it? Twani Paras is asking.
Um, my first shoot, I actually had support. I had my friend who was helping me, who I was helping out with wedding photography. He sort of came and sort of, guided me quite a bit. And that was more in terms of the photography aspect. But in terms of the setups, in terms of the posing, well, not really posing. It was a 12-month-old, so you really just work around, you know, the fun they want to have. So all of that was my focus, but the technical aspects of it and making sure I don't get it wrong because this was a paid shoot. I've never started out with free shoots, touch wood, but So the first shoot was interesting because it was a combination of great shots, which helped me grow with the business, but also a combination of interesting mistakes, which you quickly, the moment you capture those mistakes and write them down, you make sure you never repeat them. So it was a really interesting learning experience and a very trustworthy client who allowed me to do this first shoot ever and paid me while I was at it. That's not too common. So yes,
Right. Okay, I think we'll take one more question because
sure,
we've exceeded our time. And
sure.
we'll take the last one, Amrita. Whichever you want to pick, you can. We have a lot of questions.
I'm okay.
Tapan
There's one
says,
about yeah.
yeah.
There's one about if the baby doesn't support or does not cooperate with the shoot, how do you plan for the shoot? By Shri Shangu. Um, Shri Sangu, I think, and again, Amo, feel free to add on, okay, because you're another expert here as well, is that babies will never cooperate, and we really have to work around their timelines and making sure understanding what their schedules are based on the age of the child and making sure we show up based on their schedules and shooting them when they're in a good mood. That's the only way. And the best way to do it is right after they wake up from their naps. Like to
Right.
the point where I trouble parents and say, when they open their eyes, I want to be there and I want to start shooting a few minutes after that. Right? So parents can get overwhelmed when they hear things like that. But I'm like, that's how we get the best out of that situation because they're fresh with energy and I don't want to miss that. So, and if the baby doesn't cooperate, you've just got to listen to the baby. They're always sharing cues. They're always telling you what they're not happy with. It's about how much we're opening our senses to them and listening and taking in that feedback and making them comfortable. So, um, I don't know about you, Amar, but came to me with experience. After consistently seeing a certain baby react negatively in a certain setup, I knew that something was wrong. All babies can't be unhappy in that setup. Something was off. And then I discovered that it was a flocati or the fur I was using that was rough and they didn't like it. And then, changing that changed the whole scene for me. So it's all about listening to them and then working with their
Following their
schedules.
cues.
Yeah.
Right. Completely agree with you here. And even, sometimes if we have a limited time for a shoot, say for example, if it's not an elaborate shoot, we can always tell clients to, get them after their bathing and massage time. That's also like, I feel, a very good time wherein they are
Mhm.
calm and, they are relaxed. And especially in terms of, if I talk about newborns. For
Newborns.
bigger
Yeah.
babies, of course, I think once they wake up, they're more fresh
Yeah.
and they're happy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Amrita. It
Thank
was
you,
an
Amo.
amazing, amazing Dil Se live. It was like a Dil Se conversation with you.
Right? Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining,
Yes.
and I really wish you all the very best. And I am truly inspired by you, your journey, and I hope that I wish you all the very best. And I hope you keep inspiring all of us with your lovely, happy face and your amazing work.
Thank you, Amo. I'm wishing you the same as well. Thanks, Adan. And also this, I've learned this new thing from K-drama these days, which
Okay.
is basically heart, all heart.
Yes.
Thank you. It's this, okay?
Like this? Like
This.
this?
So you
What's
see the
that?
little heart? Yeah, here.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Wow, I'm taking this
Yes.
away. Thank you, Amrita.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adan, for having me. See you. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you guys for joining in. Bye bye and take care.